Yesterday, me and Jake, independently, not together, dove into the Mississippi State film. I think I watched about an hour. I watched, I think, mainly Memphis with some Arizona. I wanted to start at the beginning. I want to say, whatever, probably about half and half of each. And, well, Jake, my surface level review. Danger, Will Rogers. Danger, Will Rogers. And I mean danger for whoever Will Rogers is playing, because Will Rogers looks fantastic on film. He very much looks like the quarterback that is averaging 380 yards per game, completed about 80% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. Even one of the 2 picks, like the Arizona pick, Jake, was just the receiver dropping the ball. Perfect pass, just went straight through his hands, and the guy behind him picked it off. You can clearly see Will Rogers making the best correct decision, it feels like, the vast majority of the time, right? Sometimes that's like if you're playing soft coverage, you do that great little play that a lot of teams do, where you just saw that with Caleb Williams at USC as well, where like as soon as you get the shotgun snap, you just step and throw, right? Because they're playing like 10 yards off. Yeah, that's it right there. That's literally, okay, you had it pulled up. That is literally the play I'm referencing right there. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes you literally see him go, 1, 2, 3, 4, dump. Like, it's just the timing of it. I want to play O-line for Will Rogers because you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. He gets rid of the ball. And then if he's ever under pressure, he gets it's crazy. Like, half the time, the Mississippi State offensive line isn't even picking up twists or stunts correctly, but it just doesn't matter because you don't really have a chance of getting home.
As I'm sitting here and I'm watching this play, and it's funny that I had that pulled up, it looks like it's almost, depending on how many people you bring, Memphis looked like they were going to bring 5. They ended up bringing 4, and it looked like Will Rogers didn't even have to look at anyone else. It was a quick catch the ball, get it out.
Yeah.
Because teams just don't bring 4 or 5 defenders against them. They usually rush 3, like we've talked about. And it almost, T-Bob, looks like an automatic check. Whenever you're showing pressure, they are going to catch it. And if you're playing off coverage, he's getting it out of his hands. I mean, it's multiple times. This isn't the only play. So they've done a nice job of trying to combat what teams have done. Barry Odom had the book, right? Rush 3, drop 8, and they have found a couple of different ways to try to break some of that. Now, we know you got to tackle against them and all of that, but they have a couple of nice quick hitters. A swing pass to a running back is kind of come into that fold as well. If you're going to bring 4, you're going to bring 5, or you're going to show it, they get it to their guy right now.
Yeah.
And allow, it's 1-on-1. They allow him to make one guy miss and try to pick up 10, 12 yards.
Well, and that's why the missed tackles are going to be huge here. They were a massive problem for Memphis. It's how they end up scoring their first touchdown against Memphis, off missed tackle. Like, that's the thing. Will Rogers will take what you are giving him, and by doing that, it means that he will throw the ball shallow and underneath, and you'll have an opportunity to make a tackle. It's not like everybody's going to be blocked up, and then it's just they're banking on the fact that you will miss said tackle, and Memphis did miss a lot, and Arizona missed a lot, and look what happened. Mississippi State and Will Rogers dominated. And he's getting to the point now, Jake. There was one throw in particular. I took a couple screenshots. Can't remember if I sent them to the group or not. But, like, he's getting to that point where when you're a great quarterback, you really start seeing the game to a depth that many of the younger quarterbacks out there do not, to where now, like, his anticipation by just seeing a defense and knowing, okay, this guy's hips are turned this way. This guy took a false step inside. I know I'm going to throw it to this spot, and it's going to be open, like, way before his receiver breaks, and he's hitting it. So, like, if you thought Matt House in this defense looked a little rusty, going against an experienced play caller and Mike Norvell and Florida State, I think this is a significantly harder challenge for this defense. And I'm not going to lie, Jake, I'm not overly impressed by the defense. I didn't think anybody, I mean, like you said, they have the good defensive end that's going to get drafted, which could be a problem considering how LSU has played a tackle. But I'm worried about stopping this offense. I'm not gonna lie, man. I feel I wanted to go into the film and come out feeling better about the game. I go into the film and come out feeling more respect for Mississippi State, actually.
We know what this offense is going to do. We know what you have to do to stop them. It's a different challenge than Florida State, to your point. It's not going to be – you don't have, a 6'6" receiver that can go up and get the ball like Florida State had.
Yeah.
You don't have a Pittman who's this bulldog-looking receiver, almost looks like a running back that can make you miss in space and hit a home run. And they don't even have Jordan Travis. Like, it's a different skill set. It's a different type of offense. This one is all about being assignment sound, which in years past has been very, very troublesome for LSU. And it's about tackling in front of you.
Yeah.
That's the reason LSU won the game a year ago.
Yeah.
It was the best tackling game they had all season long.
100%.
And you could tell there was a point of emphasis on that. Now, they did some things defensively that made you scratch your head. They kind of switched what they were doing that was working. You were on the verge of housing Mississippi State. And you're like, you know what? This game's not close enough. Let's go ahead and rush forward and make this thing a ball game at the end. And so you had a great game plan last year. And it's what you have to do. Now, everyone has the same game plan against Mississippi State. It's just getting it done. You have to go out there and you have to execute. Now, I do think that Will Rogers is a better quarterback than he was a year ago. I think he's making throws that – and I said it yesterday to you, T. I just don't think that Mike Leach has ever had a quarterback this talented. The conversation is probably between Gardner Minshew and him as far as the most talent. Because, look, Cliff Kingsbury had – 1 billion yards at Texas Tech. B.J. Simmons was really talented at Texas Tech, but he wasn't very accurate. We could go down. Anthony Gordon
had
right?
a lot of stats.
Had a lot of stats. I mean, gosh, there's Graham Harrell had a lot of stats, and we can ask Matt. Matt was teammates with him in Green Bay. Not the most talented guy, right? He was accurate. He could get the ball out, but Will Rogers is going to play on Sundays.
Yeah.
He is a real player that would put up big stats no matter where he was at. So that gives them a little bit of a different look than they've had in the past. Now, at receiver, at running back, they don't have terrifying playmakers. They got enough to beat you, but it's all about what you do defensively. That's what it's always been about when you're facing the air raid. It's about how you handle it and do you execute your game plan, because it's a KISS offense. It's keep it simple, stupid. I mean, it's a note card. It's not a binder.
Yeah, I was talking to someone who worked, I wish I could remember the details. This was about 2 years ago, Jake. It was somebody who was on the LSU staff. We were out there to scrimmage, and he had worked on for Leach, kind of coming up. And, yeah, that's what he said, that you're talking about practicing kind of I don't fully understand how you do it, but like a handful of plays. Like, it's not a lot of overwhelming information. It's just that against all the looks, they know exactly where to go with said plays. And it's kind of designed very impressively. And it's especially effective in the college level. It's especially effective, too, with that kind of how he's evolved it to make it more of a ball control style. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about, less tempo, leading the SEC in time of possession. Like you talk about running the ball, Jake, that little play we were talking about earlier where you're in soft coverage and they just immediately throw it for 5 yards. Like, that's like a power run. And it's simple, it's easy to execute, and it gets you 5 to 7 every single time. I also think that it's a bit interesting, Mike Leach and Mississippi State, Jake, because even like regardless of what you think of Mississippi State in context of where they sit in the SEC talent hierarchy, I still feel like this is probably more talent than he's ever actually had before in terms of like athleticism, size, power. If you look at his teams at Washington State, if you look at his teams at Texas Tech, there were some frisky teams for sure, but they never had the athletes that he now has in Starkville. So, look, man, they're favored coming in Death Valley for a reason. I'm not ready to make a pick on this game quite yet, but Jake, where is your? It's tough to know. There's still so much unknown about this LSU team. That's what I'm really struggling with. I feel like I kind of know who Mississippi State is. I don't know who LSU is yet.
When you look at Mississippi State a year ago, like we did the blind resume during the summer with A&M, they were 4-4 in SEC play. They were 7-6, and they had some good moments. And you went to Starkville and you beat them with a bad LSU team, right? Yeah. So you still have the Jimmies and Joes over Mississippi State. You do. There's no arguing that. Like even with the transfers coming in, you still have more Jimmies and Joes, but it's about executing. That's going to be my theme for the rest of the week. If you go out there, and this is a home game, so you're going to have the crowd, there's no cowbells. You go out there, you have the advantage athletically. Mm-hmm. You have to go execute exactly what the call is, keep it in front of you, and get the guy on the ground. Like there's been missed tackles in the first couple of games, but it's not something that that worries you because it hasn't been, 17, 18, 19 missed tackles.
You worried about the linebackers at all here?
Getting lost in space, yeah. But again, not physically. Physically, Mike Jones has played nickel at Clemson on a playoff team. Mm-hmm. He can cover anybody on Mississippi State's team. I have no problem with that. But it's about the linebackers not getting lost within the coverage. If it's called cover 3, play cover 3. If it's quarters, play quarters.
Yeah.
If it's quarter halves, play quarter halves. If it's 2, whatever it is. Like, you can't try to play outside yourself, because this offense, if you do that, Will Rogers will find it.
Yeah.
He's going to exploit it, and they're going to come in here and rack up 400 yards passing. That's the thing. And we saw it in the first game. It was better in the second game. You didn't see linebackers kind of lost. Every level has to make sure they execute. Like, if you're rushing 3, those 3 got to find a way to get home.
Well, and that's what else I was going to say. I know I came in here yesterday and talked about how BJ Ojulari and Ali Gay got to have big games, and Mekhi Wingo rush from the interior. I don't know how much of a play-to-play impact they can actually have. I would think after watching film, definitely active hands would be one of my goals if I was a D lineman this week. Don't leave your feet necessarily, but get your hands up. You'll have a lot of chances to bat balls down. But it's going to be, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be tough to get home. Maybe you can get it in a couple big moments, but it's going to be tough to get home.
I'm going to be fascinated to see how they line it up, because you can rush 3 and still you have athletic enough edge guys. Certainly BJ Ojulari, I know he's coming off an injury. There's a reason he sat out last week.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can
don't push him,
give the illusion of rushing 4 and still have him in coverage. He is plenty athletic enough to be able to do it. Now, he hasn't done a ton of it. I mean, that's a Sunday player who's going to get paid a lot of money to rush the quarterback, but you can give them some different looks. You don't have to necessarily line up and have 2 guys on the tackle, head up, and a zero nose. You can kind of change some things up.
Sure.
And I want to see, do you go 3-3-5? Like, do you, that's what Mississippi State runs. Do you, how much do you switch it up? What personnel do you switch it up with? Who do you take out from your 4 down if you go a 3-man front?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting test for Matt House.
Who could be big in this game, and a guy that we probably need to start talking about more, certainly now that Mason Smith is out, is Wingo.
Yeah.
We talked about him and how highly rated he was as a defensive tackle. I get it. It's not as sexy as the corner, the receiver, the running back, whatever you get in the transfer portal, but he was the highest rated, and he's played well.
Yeah.
I mean, he has pushed the pile. I know he kind of looks, now he's in better shape, but he kind of looks like our man Fave, right? Not a tall guy. He's under 6 foot, but he's got leverage, and he's doing a really nice job of pushing the pile in both games, right? If you're only rushing 3, getting pressure in the middle of that offense, it's going to be difficult, but if he can do it, then that's a game changer.
Yeah, and it is. As much as it can be, yes, this game. I mean, Jake, I got a little disheartened when, again, I'm seeing the Mississippi State offensive line flail trying to pass off a stunt, and it doesn't matter. Because a stunt just takes too long to get home. And you want to talk about, you know how we complain sometimes about LSU keeping backs in coverage? Go watch Mississippi State and what a constant little wonderful outlet the running back is for.
There's nobody to chip.
Yeah, no. And even the times when they
the guards are the chippers.
And even the times when they do, yeah, exactly right. I mean, pass blocking against 3 with 5 the whole time would be awesome. But even the time when they do have the running back scan, it's a quick scan.
Yeah,
it's immediately, and then he's out again, always sitting there as your little outlet. So it's like I said, it's a big concern, y'all. Not gonna lie. But Sheldon Mickles had a pretty cool article in the Advocate today. Jake, Jayden Daniels has played Mike Leach before. How about that? They both played when they were in the Pac-12 on October 19, 2019. Freshman Jayden Daniels, who had that incredible year, went up against Anthony Gordon and the Washington State Cougars. It was in Arizona State, in Tempe. Anthony Gordon went 44 of 64 for 466 and 3 tuds. But it was the Devils who won 38-34 with Jayden Daniels going 26 of 36, 363, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and ran for a touchdown. How about this? Entered the fourth quarter down 31-24. Put together a 9-play, 84-yard touchdown drive. Wazoo kicks a field goal up to go up by 3 with 2 minutes, 30 seconds to play. Daniels goes 10 plays, 75 yards, game-winning touchdown drive. Okay. I mean, he's got 8 touchdown drives in a row. See, that's why I say I don't know this LSU team yet, and that's what makes evaluating this so tough, Jake, is because game number 1 was a complete Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of game. Like, it was a tale of 2 completely looking different teams. It was kind of like the New Orleans Saints on Sunday against the Falcons. Are the Saints more of what you saw in the first 3 quarters or more of what you saw in the fourth quarter? Is LSU more of what you saw in the first 3 or the fourth? We're going to find out this weekend. Again, I'm not overly impressed with Mississippi State's defense. The D-line can be the strength of their defense. I don't think the D-line looks as good as Florida State did. And I hope that LSU's offensive line will be able to have